What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is United vs. Everybody. I am your host, Sean, and we are back with another Man United News Roundup. We are here to talk all sorts of United news in and around the media these last couple days. Just catch your thoughts on everything. You've probably spoken and read and watched a lot about some of the stuff we're going to cover already, but that's okay. We're not here to break the news. We're here to talk about the news. I want your opinions, your thoughts, your reactions. Like I said, this is your show. I'm just here to kind of facilitate the conversation with some topics for discussion. So that's what we're doing today. We're going to talk Mbeumo. We're going to talk Rashford. We're going to talk some rule changes to the Premier League, all this kind of stuff we're going to chat about today. So put on your underwear. Let's get stuck in. As always, please make sure to hit that like button for me if you can. It does make me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. Please make sure, if you're new, to subscribe to the channel. We are on the road to 3K. With your help, I think we can get there. I believe in you. Go check out all the fun links in the video description as well. Starting with, and again, no pressure, no cajoling, no solicitation, but there is a link in there to a great charity if you guys want to take a moment. When the video is done, my wife, as you know, volunteers at a shelter here in Detroit, and they are doing a big fundraiser, and she's trying to help raise some money for that. So anyone who is interested, go check out that link. It's in the video description. Just hit that little show me more underneath the description. You'll see as well. Also, you'll notice underneath your player, there's a couple of t-shirts from the United vs. Everybody shop, the classic green and gold. Go check out the UVE store. Go check out that link for GoGoalShop if you guys want $5 off when you register. There's a code in the description. Links to kit bag, links to Fanatics, links to Football. It's all in the description of the video. Go check that out, you guys. If there's anything in there that you need, gear, streaming, all of it. And as far as, you know, the store goes, in connection to the fundraiser, anything that you guys do buy from the store between now and when that fundraiser ends will go towards a fundraiser. I'll keep track of it all. I'll cut the fundraiser a check from United vs. Everybody, and that's what it'll go for. So keep that in mind, you guys. Thanks for letting me do that. If there's no pressure, like I said, even if you can't donate yourself, maybe just consider sharing it, and maybe someone you know might. But I do appreciate that, and that goes towards super chats, memberships, all that stuff. That goes towards that as well. So big up everyone who's getting involved. Get involved in the poll too while we're going. I want to know your guys' thoughts on this right quick. Let me see who's getting involved in the chat. Lucky Sind involved. Big up Lucky. Danny, Sanjay, big up Sanjay, man. How you doing? Danny wants to know if there's anything breaking. Not really. Slow news day today. It's just the way it is on Fridays. We don't really get a lot. Usually you're going to get something, you know, over the weekend, maybe on a Monday, but we'll see. I think that once July 1st rolls around, you're going to see a lot of transfer dominoes start falling, because I do think with the start of the new financial year in terms of PSR, I do think that a lot of teams are kind of getting all their, you know, chips stacked, ready to go. And then boom, someone's going to fire off that gun and everyone's going to go running. So we'll see what happens, though. We'll see Sanjay pick up. Sanjay, my wife says thank you, by the way, for your donation, man. I appreciate that. So let's get stuck in, everyone. How's everyone doing today? It's a Friday. It is hot here. I am like, I don't know if you guys get like this when it's hot, but like I get like shortness of breath and stuff. Maybe that's an allergy thing. I don't know, but I've been tired all day. I did wake up at like 2 a.m., couldn't get back to sleep, so maybe that has something to do with it as well. But let me know how everyone's enjoying their Friday so far. First up, what is up Luke Edwards' ass this week? Have you guys seen this stuff from Luke Edwards from The Telegraph? If you didn't know, he's a journalist who writes for The Telegraph. But he's popping all this good shit about United's summer spending, setting some sort of artificial benchmark for the league and making it difficult for Newcastle to get good deals for shit. Because we paid $62.5 million for Cunha, a release clause, by the way. That's somehow they can't get Anthony Elanga or some bullshit. And like we get a sell on anyway. Like it's like whatever you do. I'm sorry, but where is it written in the Premier League bylaws that anyone is required to give a Frenchman's fornication about Newcastle United? I don't care about them. The closest I've ever come to caring about Newcastle is watching the Goal movie. That was it. How does our money spent on Cunha mean fuck all for Newcastle? Like, seriously, we haven't even bought anyone but Cunha. So what's the problem? Because he's a Premier League player, and that's what they're concerned about. We're setting, like, get fucked. No one wants to talk about 100 million cities wasted on Jack Grealish, by the way. No one wants to talk about how much Chelsea paid for Caicedo. I mean, it doesn't take a lot of words to convey my feelings about this. So I'll keep it short and sweet. A wise man named Roy Kent used only 2 words, in fact, and I'll borrow them right now. Get fucked. Done. Fuck off, Luke Edwards. I saw this week that so we talked about this week that Johnny Evans is set to join our kind of staff, our recruitment structure, our backroom, whatever you want to call it, his role. I call him like youth transition director or something. That's what's the fancy word I just made up. But basically, he's in charge of helping the academy players and youngsters kind of transition on their loans and help them with that process, having come from the academy himself. And this coming from amidst a lot of layoffs and redundancies, a few new hires. But we got another one supposedly coming in. So Ruben Amorim's team could be set to get a new face. This is coming from Portuguese outlet Record. So again, I always make sure I try to tell you where it's from so you guys can decide how much legitimacy you want to give it. But we're going to talk about it. So Record says United are in talks to bring in Acacio Valentim as part of support staff for Ruben Amorim. The deal is reportedly close to being finalized. Valentim recently stepped down from his position as team operations director at SC Braga, also in the Portuguese league. So, didn't know if you guys had seen that earlier. Sounds like that could be something coming to shake up our support staff. So basically, team operations officer or team operations director, sorry. It's a common position throughout European football teams. It can mean a lot of different things. But what he primarily focused on was team logistics, planning, coordination, of just everything going on. Less coaching, more just the day-to-day kind of operation kind of stuff in terms of just planning and coordinating and movement and all that stuff. When he stepped into this role at Braga, his job was reportedly to kind of help the club's growth and that project kind of help them grow as a club, basically. He's also worked at Porto. He's worked at a Chinese club, I think with Andrea Villas-Boas. I forget what Shenhua, I want to say. Someone don't quote me on that. At Porto, though, I was reading that this guy was also the victim of an attack from rival Benfica players. This is insane. So I found this online. So apparently there was this plan from Benfica players to basically rush into Porto's locker room and dressing room and kind of attack. There's a lot of aggression going on. It was not a prank or anything. It was like a serious thing. But he found out about it, and he and some other people kind of stopped them off at the door, and he got kicked. And the manager of Benfica at the time was there. They witnessed it. He got kicked and everything. Basically attacked while defending his club, defending his players. I like this guy already. Fucking more fight than any of these United players have shown recently. But I thought that was interesting. But yeah, so I don't know if you guys have seen that news, but we could be set for yet another Portuguese arrival. Dabasi, big up, man. Better late than never. It's all good, man. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Enjoying your day. So yeah, could have another member of staff to kind of oversee the logistics and the coordination of the team and everything. So interesting. Not a coaching role, like I said, not a sporting role, like I said, in terms of recruitment or anything, but just, helping basically. So we'll see if it's, any more useful than a body language expert that we paid $175K a year if we were this club. Did you guys see? I posted a link last night in the community tab. I don't know if you guys saw it. I don't know why I decided so the website that I used to have before having a channel is still out there. It's just I don't do anything with it anymore. I don't pay for it. It's just whatever's there is there. But it was a lot of scouting reports, my thoughts on things, on matches, things like that, transfer stuff like that. You guys know. But I was looking around last night and I found a scouting report on Hayden Hackney that I did like 2 years ago. And I posted a link to it so you guys can see. Like, I'm not full of shit when I say, like, I've been watching these. I was reading through a lot of them. I thought about maybe doing a video where I can share the screen and we can look at a lot of those old scouting reports. We don't have to read them all, but like look at the players themselves and kind of do a comparison of where they were then and where they are now. Because again, I don't do the scouting reports unless I like these players, unless I think they're good players. And so some of them, you will have heard of now, like Hackney, Gyökeres, Hjulman. The very first one I ever did was actually on Manuel Ugarte when he was at Sporting. And so a lot of interesting things on there. I like to see what you guys thought of my scouting reports, how I did with my predictions. What do you guys think? If that's something you guys would like to join me for, let me know, man. That's funny. Dabasi says, get the strict ones for the players. That's right, man. Ones that can humble the players. These players need a little bit of humbling, especially. I mean, the ones that really need the humbling are the ones who already got humbled. They've been humbled by Amorim himself. They've been humbled by just the sheer fact that nobody fucking wants them. Sancho, Rashford, Garnacho. So hopefully that you'd hope that that's enough humbling in itself, just the circumstances. But some of these players just need a little bit more. Danny's definitely interested. Well, there's a lot of players on. We don't have to go through all of them, but I was looking at them. I was like, man, I can't believe. Like I had done one on. I did a video on not a video, a scouting report on 5 players, young up and coming players, and Lucas Chevalier was actually in that list in that specific one, and that was again that was one of the last ones I did. So that was in literally just before I was doing the channel. So it would have been February of not this past year, but the year before, February 2024 was when I was already watching Lucas Chevalier. So it's interesting stuff. Like I said, if you follow that link I posted, you'll be able to go and read a lot of them. A lot of them are old now and moot, and not the stats and everything are moot. But there's some fun stuff. I did one on who my fantasy picks for who should have an ultimate team card. That one was pretty interesting too. Sometimes you just get bored, but get the mafia. You guys the Bossi's on one today. So big news that we saw yesterday. So obviously I put out a little bit of a short yesterday, just kind of outlining, bullet pointing some of the stuff that we're talking about today. But a big one obviously was the big report coming out yesterday. Ben Jacobs, Alex Crook talking on TalkSport that Bryan Mbeumo, his Man United medical could take place as early as next week. So maybe let that countdown begin. 72 hours, we could be getting a here we go. We could be getting he's traveling. I've read reports that he's leaving his vacation time to come and do his medical so he can get that done and then go. We'll probably get that announced. We can announce it. The paperwork doesn't have to be final until after July 1st. But I think this is actually, I think an Mbeumo and Acuna is going to be this past season, and everything moving on July 1st is obviously next season financially. But I think that's when maybe we're going to be waiting to do a lot of our other business. I read something just before going live. I think it was Paul Hurst. He claims that we actually want to sign 4 more players after we sign Mbeumo. I don't know how that's going to be possible. But you guys let me know. Could we be seeing a here we go, a Monday medical? Reportedly could be happening sometime soon and then over next week. I like that. We got 2 of the best attackers in the Premier League coming through. The price is, I think, fair personally, considering their age and what they're doing right now. So, and if you look at what other similar players have been going for over the years, I think it's a steal. I mean, either one of them is right now 100 times better than Jack Grealish, and he costs 100 million. So we'll see what happens there. Duncan Castles still says that a fee between the club is yet to be finalized. I think the fee is finalized. I think what we're doing right now is we're going over that structure and maybe just the realistic gettability of those add-ons. Some of the add-ons that we've seen, you remember Anthony Martial had a Ballon d'Or bonus written in, a Ballon d'Or clause. If you ever won the Ballon d'Or, United, Monaco would get a shit ton of money. There are things like that, and then there are very easily achievable ones. That's why when people freaked out when we sold Donny van de Beek to Girona for so little, they didn't look at the add-ons, and we talked about that on the channel. The add-ons for Donny van de Beek are very, very gettable. That could have upped that up to almost 10 million total, which still, a third of what we paid for him, but it is what it is. Got to try to find the positives somewhere, right? But we'll see. What are you guys saying in the chat so far? What was your priority for United going into the summer? I put in 4 options for you. Option 1, bringing in players. Doesn't seem like anyone's priority was that. Right now, it's almost neck and neck between clearing the deadwood and changing the club culture. And then I putting a dent in the debt. Nobody voted for that one either. So I'll leave that open for a little while longer. You guys get involved. I want to know what your priority was going into this summer. For me, it'd probably be clearing the deadwood, because I think that our wages we're just bleeding wages right now. And I think that the deadwood at this club, the Sanchos, the Rashfords, even the Casemiros, the Antonys, arguably the Shaws, I would sell Dallo as well, but it is what it is. These guys, they're killing us right now. They're literally killing us financially. So we will see what's going on. But you guys get involved in that poll. Let's talk about some transfer news. So Luca Marchetti with Sky Sports, he was reporting yesterday that Napoli have pretty much abandoned their pursuit of Jadon Sancho. It looks like that's according to some journalists. Don't know what you guys think of that. Napoli seemed like the president, the sporting director already said, like, we don't want to pay his salary. So I don't know if that's like a challenge to Sancho, if that's just a, hey, hard line, we're not doing it. We like the player, but we can't afford him moving on. I mean, Betis pretty much said the same thing about Antony. I don't know. All these clubs want to like cry poverty. Like, we know how much money you got for Kvaratskhelia, Napoli. We know how much money. We know that, you paid a little bit for McTominay. Like, do us a favor here. What are you doing? On Sancho, though, what is all this talk? Did you guys see all this talk from Gazzetta dello Sport about some sort of Vlahovic/Douglas Luiz swap for Sancho? Did you guys see that nonsense yesterday? That was coming from Albanese, I think the guys with the journalist from. And then I saw something from Sebastian Vidal today. This is what Sebastian Vidal had to say about Sancho. Juventus accelerates for Jadon Sancho and has scheduled new discussions with Manchester United. Aware that the player is not insensitive to offers from Turkey, Juve wants to close a loan with a purchase option, but United prefers a sale. Yeah, I definitely do want him gone. This is literally 2 loans now for Sancho in the last year and a half, and nobody's wanted to buy him. I don't know if he can take the hint or not. You're still holding out for $300K. To me, that's just either that's delusion or you're just digging in your heels. Either way, it's childish and just immature and ignorant. But we'll see what goes on with that. I have no idea what to tell you with that one. What do you guys think about that sale, loan? Christopher Mikel has basically also said the same thing, like that Vidal just said. Then I saw something from Marco Giordano, who does say, though, that there's like that 21.5 million pound deal for Sancho that we talked about yesterday. So again, a lot of conflicting reports. I think the main crux of this is that Sancho does have interested parties, and they want him, and they're willing to offer more than 20 million, but they don't want to pay $300K a week, because that's basically almost doubling what you're paying, because that $300K a week is what, 15 mil a year-ish or so, if my math ain't mathin'. And so that's a big outlay for a player, especially one in the last year of his contract. So it's interesting stuff, to say the least. Romano chimed in today as well on that. He says, Juventus and Napoli are unwilling to pay Sancho's salary demands. Both clubs have no problem paying the 25 million pound fee, but his wages are a problem. Again, I mean, it's nothing that we haven't discussed already 100 times on this channel. The fact that player wages are literally killing us. I mean, this is Amorim, this is Ineos. You could even argue Ten Hag to an extent, too, that they're paying the price for the sins of their predecessors. They're paying the price for ineptitude, for arrogance. You could call it this whole we can do things in the market that other clubs can't bullshit from Ed Woodward. We are paying the price for this. It comes to a head at some point. The debt always comes due, and you can only keep kicking the can down the road for so long before this kind of shit starts happening. And this is what we're dealing with. I feel like, as far as Sancho goes, I said the other day, I feel like we're going to get stuck paying part of his salary just to get him out the door, even if there's a sale involved. And then don't forget about that reported Fenerbahce interest. But we'll see how that goes. Let me get back in the chat here. Hold on one second. What's everyone doing? What we got? Nota. Change the culture is what you voted for, but that comes with clearing the deadwood. That some are toxic. Yeah, big part of that. I think for me, the clearing the deadwood has more to do with the financial stuff, as far as that goes, because we know that we're trying to change that culture, and we've kind of already started doing that, getting rid of the Sanchos and the Rashfords, and now maybe the Garnachos as well. So, but big up, Gamer TV. Welcome back to the channel, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Big up, man. Dabasi says, Chevalier is still my number one guy, but I'm happy with anyone else. Yeah, I like Chevalier a lot. I mean, obviously I did that scouting report on him about two years ago now, almost. Gamer TV says, Ornstein sort of, let's see what Ornstein has to say. We're checking it live, everyone. What does Ornstein have to say? All right. I mean, yeah. See, this is why sometimes, I mean, I appreciate that, Gamer TV. This is why, though, I don't do videos every day, and it's definitely why I don't do multiple videos of the day, because I have too much respect for you and your guys' time to do videos on basically the same stuff. Like I don't mind doing something like the Mbeumo medical, which that popped up yesterday, but I haven't gotten your guys' thoughts about it. But I'm not going to do 3 videos today talking about Mbeumo having a medical. What's next? What could it be today? Like that's not my thing. I mean, it makes me sound like arrogant. I'm not trying to sound like I like I said, I like you guys a lot. I respect your guys' opinions too much and your time, and I'm not going to do that just to get views and clicks. So that makes me boring. Sorry, it is what it is, you guys. Debasi says, I don't believe swaps, hard cash. It depends. I don't mind a swap with Sancho because it is what it is with Sancho. Like, if you can get him gone, I'll take that. It just depends. But financially, I don't care about it because it is what it is. You're not ever getting that money back. I do care about the player involved. I don't want Vlahovic. I like Douglas Luiz. I don't like his injury record, so I wouldn't take any of those guys, if that makes sense. Give me Locatelli, we can talk. I don't want swaps for guys like Garnacho and Rashford because that's a lot of profit. We need to show PSR-wise that we're getting some profit. Now, you can do a swap on paper like what Newcastle and Forest did with Elliot Anderson. We talked about that last week with Vlachodimos involved, but then they get into some shady stuff here. Debasi says that's old news now. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. These journals got to make their money, just like these YouTubers got to get those views. But it is what it is. Lucky Singh says ripping up start with pile crash. Nice. Nota says I got a feeling that Sancho would just see his contract out with us. We need to just write off that money. Yeah, I mean, we were never. Nota, it was a bad move all around. Like nobody had any sort of forethought with that at all. Like I've said before, it either goes well for Sancho and now you've paid 85 million and he's on 300K, and then 2 years in you've got to up his wages, and then you're basically stuck with him just like we are now. Or he flops like he has and you paid 85 million and you're basically seeing this player run out of contract on 300K a week. There was never any upside to that whatsoever. You were banking everything on Sancho replicating what he did at Dortmund. There was zero analysis, zero data involved in that, zero like reality whatsoever. Like, and even then, that doesn't even look at the performance numbers. Just look at his personality. He's had issues at every single team he's played for. Like, what was going on, man? Like, that was such a horrible transfer. For like in all sense of the word. Like, yes, Casemiro financially horrible transfer, but his personality, he's not a bad dude. He's not a brat like Sancho is. Like, there's just more to it, man. Like, I have no time for Sancho these days. Alex, question mark? Bring in players for me. We won't improve with the same stock. Bad contracts won't last that long, really, and culture will improve with results. It compounds. Is it a worry, though, that culture will only improve if we're doing well? Like, I feel like we call that an external locus of control, where your emotional state, your mental state is impacted strictly by the external. I would like to find some sort of intrinsic kind of internal motivation, internal sense of cohesion, resilience, all that mentality. Regardless, we want to win, but I think that the more you can focus from the internal, I think that starts to project outwardly, and it starts to actually have an impact on the external, if that makes sense. If you don't know, Alex, I'm a mental health professional, so you struck my mental health nerd button there, but nothing I say is to be taken as professional advice. I've been told I need to say that, but welcome to the channel, Alex, question mark. Big up, man. Devasi says he hates United, but he loves the money. He is a gold miner. He's a freedom fighter. Let's not have it wrong. That's on his LinkedIn profile. It's freedom. It's Jadon Sancho, freedom fighter. That's what it is. That's his job now. And freedom fighting ain't cheap. He's got to get that money, man. It is interesting, though. I've said many times, like, I don't want him at, like, the Rezzies. I don't want him but would anybody pose, I threw this random idea, do you just make it public and just say, we are mutually terminating his contract, and this is why? He's got a bad attitude. We don't want him infecting the dressing room, and his behavior has been deplorable. We don't want him. We will be happy to eat the remainder of his contract just to get him out of the club. You're already going to have to do it anyway. Why not just make it known and take control of that narrative? Yeah, it may be petty, but it is what it is. If somebody's going to be unprofessional and take the social media to complain about everything under the sun, because that's what grown-ups do, I guess, then fuck it. Who cares, man? Like, rip up that contract and just say, hey, mutually terminated, go enjoy your life. But we're letting everybody know what's going on. We are throwing all sorts of shade, bro. If you want that smoke, come at me. That's how I would be taking on Sancho, man. So Tobias says someone said his medical is already booked. Yeah, we were talking about that a little bit earlier. Mbeumo, what we going on here? Yeah, gamers updating us here. Yeah, toxic continuing. It is what it is. Nothing's really new there. Alex, question mark. Money is freedom. I mean, for some people, we call that a golden cage sometimes, though, where you start to get a little trapped by some of the pressure and the expectation and whatnot. And so the contracts, things like that. So Tabasi says freedom isn't cheap. Nelson Sands, you guys are funny. Big up, Lucky. And I don't know what's going on with Sancho, but you guys keep getting involved in that poll. I want to know. It's heating up, though. Bringing in players is starting to catch up. You guys, see, everyone complained about the debt. Everybody who and maybe that means you guys weren't so big on the Qatari bid, because a lot of people wanted the Qatari owner because they thought pay off the debt, but no one's voting for paying off the debt so far. So interesting stuff. You guys are contributing to some market research here. From one English winger who's maybe out the door to another, Marcus Rashford's Barcelona dream could have been handed a lifeline this week. So we know that we've seen that Barcelona are actively recruiting wingers. We talked the other day about maybe Rooney Bargi coming in for like $2 million. They did look at dead cert, though, to add Nico Williams to their ranks, but not so fast, according to Fabrizio Romano. He had this to say: Athletic Club confirmed they met with La Liga to express concern over Barcelona's ability to register under new financial fair play. Athletic insists they will defend their interest and ensure the rules are enforced. Interesting stuff coming out of La Liga these days. We know La Liga is just a joke of a league, right? Like we're under no false pretenses that La Liga is actually like legitimately competitive. Barcelona get away with everything. Real Madrid are funded by royalty. Like let's just have it right. Like I want to make sure we're not laboring under any sort of false claims here. La Liga, though, are not happy with Barcelona. Now, Athletic Club Bilbao know that they can reach out to La Liga. La Liga president has spoken out about Barcelona many, many, many times. He's actively working with courts to try to get them in trouble for the Dani Olmo stuff. We know that that's happening. So Barcelona are just like getting boned all over the place. Apparently, Athletic Club officials are preparing to lodge a formal complaint accusing Barcelona of failing to fall under the spending rules in La Liga and therefore lacking the financial capacity to make a payment. So they don't want to get boned. They want to get paid, basically, is what they're complaining about. They've seen what's going on with Dani Olmo and whatnot, and they don't want to be on the opposite side of that as well. It's very interesting stuff. So the Barcelona president, Joan Laporta, has actually hit back at some of this stuff, and this is what he's had to say. He says, I don't understand the reactions they're having, with all due respect. Each one should look after their own. I don't understand why they're going to talk about Barca to La Liga. I don't think it's right, but they will know what they are doing. Surprise, surprise, Barcelona president doesn't like that someone is complaining about him to La Liga. This reminds me of when my sister and I used to argue when I was younger. Everything was fine and fun until I started winning the argument, and then she would go complain to my parents and say I was being mean, and I would get in trouble. Whatever. It is what it is. Dabasi says only the Saudi clubs can take Sancho. Yeah, I mean, but now it's like, who's going to want to pay that much? Because it's 1 year left on the 5 years, right? And I think we have an extra option. So maybe it technically is 2 years, but just rip it up, man. Nota, thank you. I mean, it's all we have here, man. This perspective, it's good to listen. This is why you'll never hear me tell people in the chat like you're wrong or anything. It's not about right and wrong to me. All I ever ask is if you have an opinion. I welcome, debates and stuff. I want you guys to have your own perspective. Just back it up. Like, you can't just say stuff like you're the English media. You got to actually back it up. So, all right. But I appreciate that, man. I really do. Alex question mark says maybe Sancho can replace Nico. I mean, at Athletic, is that what you're saying? Because Athletic only promote from within. They only have Basque players at Athletic Club Bilbao. That's their whole shtick. They want to promote. They want to grow the Basque region. They want young Basque children to look up to older Basque professional footballers. They want Basque. That's why if you go to their club shop, a lot of those the shirts are blank. They want the kids from the region to put their own names on them. That's how that club operates. There's a good chapter in this book, Edge, Behind Me by Ben Littleton. Great book. I bring it with me whenever I fly to Manchester because it's a great book to read on the plane. It's got excellent chapters in there on all sorts of different things. I highly recommend it. It was featured in my books that United fans should read video from this past January. Go check that out. So Tabassi says financial fair play. What is that? Big up, Tabassi. Hilarious. Lucky's giving us some wages on Mbeumo. Yeah, we'll see. It's definitely not going to be the 250 that Alex Crook was talking about. So we all know. I mean, anyone who believes what Alex Crook says these days is just kind of just asking for it, in my opinion. But Gamer TV says Sancho is like a poison. I really don't know what's going on with Sancho. If he's just deluded, if he's just being stubborn, like I don't know. He's very quick to mouth off on social media rather than kind of just man up. But maybe I'm just old. I don't use social media very much. So maybe that's I literally only have a Twitter account for the channel just to post. I don't have Facebook. I still don't really know what TikTok is. Never had Instagram. I don't know what is Twitch. Twitch. I don't know what that means. So Twitch Talks, is that what that is? Big up, Darko. Hope you're doing well, my friend. So I don't know what's going to happen with Rashford, with Sancho. All I know is I want them gone. The problem is that's over 600K a week between the two of them. They aren't doing that well these days. I don't know what's going to happen there, but we'll see what happens there. Barcelona, again, that they could be an option for that. Athletic club officials have made it abundantly clear as well. They're not going to try to actively facilitate Nico Williams leaving. They don't want to get bent over, basically, in terms of financial. So there were claims of a verbal pact between two parties, between Williams and Athletic Club. They have been dismissed. Sounds familiar. It's basically the same thing that was going on with Victor Gyökeres. So we know how that goes. We've talked about that many, many, many times. Tabasi says, my brother lives under the radar. Well, good for him, man. I just can't be bothered with it, man. Social media is just a joke these days. I just don't have time for it. I really don't. I haven't had social media in almost 10 years. I think I deactivated my Facebook 10 years ago. It's been great. I get a lot more spare time. You don't get so angry. Everybody's a philosopher. Everybody knows everything on social media. I just choose to stay off of it. But big up, man. Yeah, Lucky. He's on 50K a week, which is probably we talked about that yesterday. Like, who do you see going first? We talked about that with Dylan on Wednesday, actually. Sorry. And I thought maybe Garnacho could go simply because he's young. He's a player. He's a position that a lot of clubs are looking at, and he's cheap right now. You know, that's a sixth of what Rashford's on. I think that could be the one we see go earlier. Jomo, welcome. We should make Rashford and Sancho train in a cow shed if they don't leave. You guys are funny. Well, Rashford's out training in Spain and doing YouTube interviews these days, basically twerking for Barcelona. I'm a striker. I would love to play with Lamine Yamal. We'll see, hopefully. Like, how transparent can he might as well have just been wearing a Barcelona shirt at that point. I mean, we know that maybe he can see where Garnacho got his Aston Villa shirt. Maybe they can maybe they used GoGoalShop code. There is a link in the description, $5 off. Use that link to register with GoGoalShop. Just saying, maybe that's where Garnacho got his Rashford shirt. Rounding out the potential winger talk, let me get a drink of water first. Crazy hot. Man, none of you wanted to clear any of the debt. I'm looking at the poll numbers right now. It's surprising. We don't really see a whole lot of the impact of the debt on the day-to-day stuff as far as fans go, because PSR has more to do with players, coaching, staff like that. The debt is the debt. It is what it is. We're servicing it. We're paying it, unlike other clubs like Lyon, which is a big part of why they got, tentatively relegated. We're actually servicing our debt, but it is what it is. But talking about more wingers, Real Betis really want Anthony after he had a stellar loan there. You guys remember, but they've insisted they can't afford him. I wonder what they're going to do with all that cash from Cardoso's sale to Atletico Madrid, though, because they're getting a big chunk of change. And they're sold Jesus Rodriguez to Como for like 17 million pounds. There's your Anthony money right there, guys. Just come and do it. You might be able to talk him down to like 100, 125K a week. There's your money. Now you can't complain anymore. We know how much money you have now. It's not fun when it's you and not United getting shafted, is it? No, now we know how much money you have. Now you can come back to the table. You can fuck off. That's just the way transfers work, man. You guys are funny. What we got going on here? Let me get caught up here. Richard Hawkins, haven't seen you in a minute. Hope you're doing well. 30th of June will be the end of the footballing financial year. Yeah, we were talking about that. I think you're going to see a lot more moves. I think that Mbeumo, Cunha are on this past year's books, and I think that July 1st is going to see a domino effect with a lot of clubs. Maybe even like more Liverpool stuff, because Liverpool have already spent a ton of money. No one wants to complain about that, do they? But I think that we'll see a lot more stuff. City they're just going ham. City do not want to have another trophyless year. Tabasi, those are some expensive cow shed workers. Alex, question mark? I use a marketplace on the well through Arizona. I get some good finds. There you go. Yeah, I've used I think I can't remember. I may have used Craigslist when I bought my boat, but yeah, marketplace is good. Because you can browse it without having a Facebook account. If I see something I like, I tell my wife to message and then I go pick it up. But I haven't really. Can't remember. I think I got some disc golf stuff on Marketplace once. I play disc golf, if you guys know. There is a nice course near Manchester, right by Old Trafford. It's like a couple blocks away if anyone does disc golf and they want to do that. So, but Gamer TV says, Sancho, Rashford, Antony, and Garnacho, what's wrong with football players? Maguire is an absolute legend mentality-wise, obviously barring his on-field performance. Yeah, I have no problem with Maguire. Herodona gets a pass this year for his performance in that second leg against Lyon. That guy was an absolute monster. But no, I hear you, man. I think that the hype and just, I don't know. I think that we're seeing maybe a little bit of a tapering off of player power. Some of that might have to do with the PSR stuff really hitting clubs now. They can't afford to just go hard on players and give them whatever they want anymore. Maybe that's just kind of financially a side effect, but you're kind of seeing a little bit. And I think it has a lot to do with, like, again, nobody can afford these players. So, well, I thought I was this. I'm a good player. Well, no one wants to pay for it. Ronaldo was free or for sale. No one wanted to buy him, which is why he had to go freaking throw a temper tantrum and basically just have a circle jerk with Piers Morgan just to get his exit from the club. Nobody wanted him. Like, take the hint, man. Like, I love Ronaldo for what he did at the club. He's got a little dent in his reputation for me, though, these days because of that interview. Like, talk to the manager, talk to your teammates if you want to. You don't go and talk to Piers Morgan about it. Like, what were you doing, man? Piers Morgan still wiping his chin, the prick. Anyway, let's talk about what you guys are doing here. Like he says, so Rashford wants to move. Antony wants to move. Pretty clear on that. Yeah, everybody. I mean, I think that Antony would want to stay. It's just clear that maybe he's not in the plans. Now, you guys said when Dylan was on for the Kickabout the other day, you can go watch that back, that maybe Antony was one of the ones out of those four that you would keep because a lot of you think that he can actually fill in on that right wingback role as a rotation option. The problem is Anthony's got that sweet, sweet taste of starting 11 minutes in La Liga, and I think that's his level. He can, like, sometimes I've said before, it is the league, sometimes it's the system. It is what it is. Antony was a baller at Ajax. Same as Sancho at Dortmund. They can't hang in the Prem. It's just, I think it's pretty obvious. It is what it is. But yeah, we'll see what happens with those guys. Debasi, you're talking about Gittins? Yeah, I like Gittins. He's a good player. So could you guys think Real Betis maybe could come back for Antony? They're selling a couple players. I know everybody was all over Johnny Cardoso. I feel like I should like Cardoso more than I just don't watch a lot of Real Betis. I don't watch a ton. Like, I'll watch some La Liga when there's teams that I'm like looking at other players for, but I have like no interest in these kind of 2-team leagues basically. Like, I don't watch the French league at all and stuff. I don't know. I'm not trying to be judgmental. It's just not that interesting. Debasi says Antony is the worst player we signed. I'd argue that Sancho is probably worse, to be honest. He's had nothing but personality issues, roughly same price, more money per week, was doing better too. So the decline is much sharper, but I hear you. They're both kind of hitting us hard. So Gamer says Musiala is the one to replace Bruno, even Bruno Fernandes. Yeah, I rate Musiala. Good luck with that, though. Good luck getting him out of there. There are a lot of attackers. Like, go take a look at Malik Tillman. I did that scouting report. We can do, like I said earlier, we can go back and look at a lot of my scouting reports, and we can kind of look through them. Maybe I'll put that together, and we'll go through that next time. Danny's a big scouting guy, too, so we'll see. Moving on here. So, let's talk about Højlund because there's a little bit of a mini update regarding Rasmus Højlund. This is coming from Gazzetta dello Sport again. They reckon his move to Inter could be off. So Gazzetta claims that Inter basically believe that Esposito, one of their young attackers, has done enough to be kept on, basically. He's done enough. They don't want to actively move him on, and they're going to keep him. That's basically the spot that Højlund was going to take. The outlet says that his chances of going to Inter Højlund are losing prominence now, whatever that means in the Italian. It was a Google Translate. So what are you going to do? My question to you is, and maybe I'll put it in the chat since you guys are really getting in heavy. So far, Clearing the Deadwood gets almost half the vote. So big up for guys getting in the chat. I'm going to put another poll out here, so bear with me. Would you keep Højlund as a backup? Hit me. Go for it. Let me know what you think about that. But his options at Inter might have been run out. So we'll see what happens there. I want to know what you guys think because his backup is really what he always should have been at United. He was 20 years old, should have not, been handled like the huge. Oh, we got some breaking news here. Dun, 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 dun. Let me put it on screen for you guys here. Breaking news coming from Sky Sports. So we'll see what happens there. I'm going to put it on the channel for you guys. Hold on. Let me find it. Let me share this. All right. Breaking coming from Sky Sports. So we'll see how breaking that is. But breaking news, Sky Sports. This guy's just translating. It was the first one I saw. Man United's second big for Brian Mbeumo, worth $62.5 million, including add-ons, has been rejected by Brentford. Interesting stuff. Let me scroll down a little bit more here. Go down to another one. What's this one saying? Second Manchester United bid for Brian Mbeumo rejected. Improved offer worth $62.5 million. Talks ongoing. As United know, the player wants to join. United will be disciplined and will overplay. I'm going to be annoyed, though, if we spend all this time doing this and we don't get him. Like, now we're kind of crossing into a realm of, this is where you get to, how much time are you willing to put in before you start telling yourself, well, we put in this time, we might as well finish it, or we've spent more than 2 weeks on this. Do we just do we walk away now? If we walk away from this because Brentford won't budge and we have a price set, even if he wants to join, then we better have our backup option ready to go. Whether that's a backup right attacking midfielder or the next priority on our transfer list, and we come back to the attacking midfield position. So whether that's, hey, we're going to go look at Gyökeres or something. Big up, Boxo. Good to see you again. Get involved in that chat too. Box thinks that Brentford probably wants 70 million. If they want 70 million, they can fuck off. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. And yeah, like Sanjay says, he'll literally force a move, and that's definitely a position you don't want to be in if you're Brentford. Because again, you don't want to be in that position. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, we'll keep following along with this as it goes on, but appreciate the heads up there. What do you guys think about that? Interesting stuff coming from Sky. Let me go do a search here for Sky. Oops. And see if we can say if there's anything else here. Maybe it's on the Premier League website. Yeah, all they say is that the second bid has been rejected by Brentford. Interesting stuff, you guys. Right on. Well, maybe the medical's not going to be booked. That's funny. But yeah, get involved in the poll there for Højlund. I want to know what you guys think. Would you keep him as backup? You might be, if we need money, if we don't want to have too many players lying around, you might be able to break even PSR wise on Xerxes. We didn't pay as much for Xerxes, roughly half of what we paid for Højlund. I don't know. Would you guys keep Xerxes over Højlund? What are you guys saying so far? 83% of you would say, oh, now it's down. Well, you'll let you guys fight it out in the poll. But let me guys know what you think about this breaking news on Mbeumo. I'll put it back up on the screen so you all can just kind of see it and talk about it for a second. What would be a price that you'd be willing to go for $62.5 million plus add-ons? I think is more than fair. I don't know. I mean, and we paid a release clause, and Mbeumo's got 1 year left. I think that's way more than fair. Box is getting fed up, to be honest. I mean, it's nothing abnormal, and it's still, the transfer window is usually not even open yet. So technically, it's still a lot earlier. It's not early in context of the transfer window itself being open, but earlier than we're used to seeing stuff, right? So 62.5 million seems more than fair, in my opinion. So I'm not sure what is his market value? I'm going to look up Mbeumo market value and see what they say here. Current market value for Mbeumo is 55 million euros. What is that, like 47 million pounds, 48 million pounds? So well beyond market value. I'm not sure where Brentford are just not, they're just being annoying. They're being they think they're the new Benfica because they keep selling players all the time and they think they can just do that. Gamer agrees with Sanjay. Spurs says they don't want to put in a bid. He only wants United. So again, you're in a situation you don't want to be in if you're Brentford now, because you're going back and forth. This is dragging on. The player wants to know what's going on. We want to know what's going on. Brentford's new manager and everything is going to want to know what's going on. So it's just, you're digging in your heels for the sake of doing it. It's super annoying. But Richard says, surprise, Real have cooled their interest in Fernandes. Yeah, we will see what's going on with there. I do think Real Madrid don't have a ton of money, and that price was reportedly like 50 million. So, I mean, yeah, Madrid spent a lot of money to bring in Mbappe, and you say he's free. There's no such thing as a free agent. On paper, you're going to have to pay a lot of bonuses. Those wages that he's on are probably ridiculous. You've got agent bonus. You've outlaid already like 100 million on Mbappe when it's all said and done. So hidden element. I think you've been on the channel before, but big up. Greedy move from Brentford. Maybe Mbeumo has to push for the move. Yeah, I'm pretty much, and we talked about it. It could just be the structure. It could be how much you're getting paid up front, how many years of installments, what kind of add-ons are you putting in? Are they achievable? Are they just bullshit to make it fluff up the price? A lot of that going on. You don't put a bid in though. Like that's what I don't understand. Because we've been told that they've been talking to try to come up with this, what's the ideal. So you don't put a bid in if you didn't have some sort of, impression that it was a decent bid or was going to be accepted. It's that if that's true, if this bid number is true, that's literally what we paid for Cunha. Maybe they want more add-ons. Throw in some more add-ons and let me see what happens. But we will see what happens. Lucky Singh says, medical already been booked. New talks will start. Finish the transfer. RFG says, walk away. Well, if you walk away, then what? Would you just immediately go to your backup option, or would you pivot to a different position, like striker, for instance, or goalkeeper? You guys know I would go for a goalkeeper, and then maybe circle back around to that position later on. We know there are a lot of attacking midfielders out there. Tyler Dibling's still out there if you want to go a different route. You could shift Bruno back up to that 10 and maybe go and prioritize a better midfielder, which we'll talk about shortly as well. There's a lot of ways to handle this. There's a lot of ways that you can respond to this and not just cave and not just abandon and not just go out and panic buy. This is really the kind of situation that you're going to see what Ineos are all about. How do we respond to this kind of stuff? Are we going to go do what the other previous regime did with like Harry Maguire or Anthony and end up going till August and overpaying? Or are we just going to pivot and say, we're not going to pay that much and we're going to walk away? We're going to go old school Arsene Wenger and just say there's no value in the market and watch him go someplace like Spurs. I guarantee you though, if he goes to Spurs, they're not going to be paying what we just offered. So I don't know if this is Brentford just being dicks, if this is them saying, well, you're United, you've got more money, so we're going to charge you more, that United tax. Could not tell you, but either way, it's a little bit ridiculous. So Box says 62.5 is more. Yeah, I think it's way more than fair personally, but maybe you up it to like 65 and those add-ons. If haggling over 2.5 million is that's the kind of shit that's annoying me. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't mean much because you're amortizing. It's like the mortgage on a house. You buy a $300,000 house, unless you're uber rich, you're not paying $300,000. You're paying a certain amount up front, and then you've got your mortgage payment. So overall, and when you're buying a house, the matter of another 50,000 on the asking price isn't that big a deal, unless that's over the appraisal, and then you got to find it out of your pocket. That's how that works. But Gamer says 65 max. In my opinion, anything else above that, they can F off. Richard says enough. Fair price offer. Tell them to fuck off. Yeah, it's a little bit ridiculous. Tabasi says, let's get over. I mean, he's got to want to come back too. I mean, he does get a say. So Box says, how much was Tony? So I don't remember how much Tony. I don't think it was anywhere near that much. And what is it like? It was like 40, I thought, right? Ivan Tony fee. Let me see. It was 40 million pounds. So yeah, it was definitely not anywhere near what they're asking. So it is what it is. Let me see what you guys over here. Box says Chirke and Nippon, we missed out on at 10. Yeah, Chirke, I mean, I think a lot of United fans were not happy with Chirke for some of his gestures during one of those semifinal legs in the Europa League. Nippon does hurt a little bit. He could have been one for the future. Obviously, he went back to Rosenborg on loan, which is what we should have done last summer. But what are you going to do? Alex, says getting close to Wharton money. Yeah, Wharton is another one. We're linked to a lot of midfielders. Who knows if we're going to pivot, if we're going to stick with this and pursue like this Mbeumo deal till it goes to the wire. I don't want to see this drag out. I'm sure Amorim doesn't want to see that. I don't think anyone wants to see this drag out. We need to get our players in before preseason. That was my big expectation and really my demand. The bulk of our business, our important players needed to get done before preseason. If Gyökeres is his target, I'm not as concerned about that because he knows Amorim's system. He's played with him for 2 seasons. He doesn't need as much betting in terms of tactics, but we do need to get a lot of our business done. Jomo says we'll give Brentford an extra 100 million if we win the league next season. There you go. I like that. Box says Brentford rolled over for Tottenham with Frank. Yeah, Brentford want to sit here and pretend like they Billy Big Bollocks out here, but at the end of the day, it is what it is, man. They're just. I think maybe part of it is Brentford don't want to be seen as this kind of weak selling club because they basically are a selling club and they're already lost Thomas Frank. I think you'd want to get some money to help the new manager out. The problem is, I mean, the longer they let this go on, the longer they delay, replacing Mbeumo. They've got players supposedly lined up. I just don't understand what they're doing. So he's going to have to force the move. He's going to have to. Box says if will we ever shed this United tax? That's up to Ineos. That's up to Barada. That's up to them to decide, what they want to do. So it is what it is, man. We'll move on to my next stuff here. What do you guys say about Højlund? Would you keep a Højlund as backup? 62% of you say yes. 38% you say no. Interesting stuff. Let's move on here. Rudy Galletti. Let me put up my next. I'm gonna take this off the screen now, y'all. So let me move on to Rudy Galletti. So he has linked United to a player that I've expressed interest in recent weeks. If you guys have been watching any of the channel, he says United have asked for info on Warren Zaire-Emery as they consider several midfield options. PSG have set a very high price and won't budge easily, making any deal challenging for now. So that's coming from Rudy Galletti. What do you guys think about that? Supposedly PSG have put on like an 85 million price on Zaire-Emery. Now, I said for weeks now, I've said this maybe 3 weeks ago, maybe we should explore putting in a cheeky bid for Zaire-Emery. He's not getting as many minutes as he was at PSG. Fabian Ruiz, Paulinho, João Neves, they're basically the starting midfield for PSG. And that's not a bad starting midfield. All of them were very, very crucial in getting PSG to where they were. They keep buying players too. Now they've got players that I would have liked to see us maybe go get. Kanjin Lee still out there. Maybe he could be an Mbeumo alternative. Zaire-Emery, I said, cheeky bid, 19 years old, excellent midfielder. We can appeal to the fact that he's not getting minutes. We'd have to sell players first, though. I think we can't afford that right now, unless maybe a big money midfielder is a next summer thing. I don't know if we're going to be able to throw down 85 million on a player right now. I think this kind of reminds me of left backs, the way we've been linked to so many midfielders. Remember, we were linked to left backs going into last summer. We were linked to Dorgu last summer. We were linked to Kirkej, Ait Nori, all these guys. I think that Ineos are looking very long term when it comes to some of these positions. And we were scouting a lot of those left backs. Maybe the plan wasn't to bring in Dorgu in January, but maybe the opportunity was there. Maybe we needed that position to be strengthened, and we went for it. And I think maybe that's something we could be seeing with these midfielders now. We've been linked to a lot of midfielders, very similar profile. Don't know if the opportunity comes up, maybe we'll make a move. Otherwise, maybe that's a next summer thing. But it could be indicative of a long-term strategy. What do you guys think of Zaire-Emery? Are you a big fan as of him as I am, because I am super big fan of Zaire Emery. I think he's an excellent young midfielder. I think that he improves us a lot depth-wise. The question is, again, we have a lot of midfielders at this club right now. With Mbeumo and Cunha coming in, tentatively on Mbeumo still with that Ornstein or the update earlier, that doesn't mean Bruno is going to be pushed to that 10 role. It's just, I mean, not 10, the pivot, the deeper role. We've got Casemiro next to him, Ugarte next to him, Mainoo, Collier. We have a lot of midfielders. There's no ways about it. And then when everyone's fit, you still got Mount and Xerxes to rotate in with that 10 role as well. And Mainoo, Bruno can play up there as well. So we have to get rid of some midfielders to bring more in. Otherwise, we're just starting to get bloated, and we can't have that. But interesting stuff coming out of the Rudy Galletti machine today. What are you guys saying here? Let's take this off the screen so you guys can see my face. Debasi's PSG race price, fine, they can have him. Yeah, I think that we already overspent a little bit on Ugarte, in my opinion. It's anyone's guess what's going on with Ugarte. I don't know what happened those last couple matches of the season. I really don't. Ugarte was doing great for us for like a month and a half. He was excellent, and then I don't know what happened. He just wasn't getting minutes. Did not play in the final. 20 minutes against Chelsea ahead of that final. I thought for a second, all right, 20 minutes against Chelsea, maybe you're saving him for the final. That didn't happen. So I really don't understand. Richard says, I think Emery would be an amazing addition. Yeah, I think he's better. I mean, he's better than Collier. Younger, obviously, than Casemiro. Is he better than Ugarte? Is he better than Bruno? Is he better than Mainoo? Box says, Emery would be an epic signing, but the price is far too high. Yeah, we do have a lot. Lucky says, no, 85. Not going to happen. Gamer says, let's go talk to George Mendes. He'll add Emery to his agent fee. I'll ask what you guys think. I'll put this in the oops, sorry, wrong button. You guys know I like to get your thoughts, and the polls are the best way to do that. For 85 mil, question mark? Now you got me doing Ron Burgundy impressions out here, Alex. Hope you're happy with yourself. Debasi says, time to look at Hackney. Now you're talking my language. Hackney or Yashari, somewhere Danny's ears are perking up. Trincao, question mark? I've never really been that sold on. I liked him when he was at Braga, had my eye on him, and then I just never really super convinced. Again, he's probably found his level where he's at, which isn't to say that he's a bad player. It's just, I think that's just it. I think that La Liga, Portuguese league, is probably where because he didn't do great when he was in the Premier League. He wasn't pulling up any trees. So I liked him a lot. I've never been that convinced on the physicality. So it is what it is. Box says Casemiro to Saudi will help. Well, maybe we saw those rumors that were then sort of poured cold water on by Romano that Al Nassr were interested, but then Romano said maybe not. I think that could be a good fit. Ronaldo's going to be there forever, basically. He's going to be the Hugh Jackman of Al Nassr. They're going to make him do this till he's fucking 90. I'm not sure what's happening there. That could be a good little reunion. I think it just makes too much sense, but do Al Nassr have that kind of money? I don't know. I really honestly don't know how much money realistically clubs like Al Nassr have to spend. If you look at the breakdown of what Ronaldo gets now under his new terms, it's a little bit I just don't. That just my brain cannot even fathom the kind of shit that he's getting now. He's got 3 or 4 personal drivers and shit and personal assistants, and that's just one of the little perks. But we saw that report that he gets a lot of say in their transfer activity. Dude, come get Casemiro. You know you want to get reunited with Casemiro. Just come do it, man. Help us out. He wants to complain about the facilities. Well, getting rid of Casemiro would help us. So D. McManus, welcome to the channel. The deal has been rejected in the last 10 minutes. How's the medical book? Yeah, we were talking about that because that just popped up as we were live. So, hey, news changes, updates happen. This is life. Got to roll with it. But big up, D, for checking out the channel. Appreciate that. Boxes, I think PSG will be looking to offload the surplus. Skriniar. I wanted Skriniar when he was going to be available on a free from Inter. Renato Sanchez. Remember when Renato Sanchez was the talk of the town? Then he was at fucking Swansea. Soler. I remember Soler. Big up. Kola Moani Asensio. Yeah. Richard says, I want Emery, but not 85. 85 million is an absolute piss take. Can we just do some sort of deal? you can have Rashford, you can have Sancho, and we'll cut down on that price a little bit. I don't. Box says, I think Nippon wasn't that the report like 2 weeks ago that he was going to City and they were loaning him back to Rosenborg for a year? Isn't that the whole thing that happened the other week? Thought we talked about that. Anyway, guys, don't forget that like button and subscribe if you are new. It does help the channel. We are on the road to 3K, and it does make me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. That's where I get my jollies. So, moving on. United's goalkeeper links are not going away, and Alfredo Paduglia has chimed in with another update. So we talked a little bit about Marco Carnesecchi last week. Remember, we did that goalkeeper target video. I did that big scouting report, did half a dozen goalkeepers. Go check that video out if you haven't. I'm pretty sure the link is in the description, along with a lot of other fun links. Went through a lot of goalkeepers. Some of them you guys haven't heard of, so I was happy to do that. But Carnesecchi was the one that we got the most recent reports on. This is what Alfredo Paduglia has to say. The Red Devils are ready to present an offer of $40 million. Atalanta is asking for more, from $45 million up to $50. The bonuses can still allow them to reach a solution that satisfies everyone. Now this, I didn't put the symbol in here. I forgot to go back. This is 40 million euros, not pounds. So it was like 34 million pounds. So that might change your opinion, but 34 million pounds for Marco Carnesecchi is not necessarily a horrible deal. Now, do you want to spend that much on him when you can go get someone else like a Lunin or a Lamens for maybe a little cheaper? Fabrizio Romano claims that while Carnesecchi is on United's list, a player that we're interested in, nothing concrete has happened yet. So you never know what's happening. Remember, we did that scout report on him last week, like I said, and I did give him that shout out. But I like Carnesecchi a lot. Is 34 to 40 million pounds a price that you're comfortable with for someone of his caliber? Do you think that he's worth it? Do you think that there are other options out there? Not sure what this means for Onana's future. Maybe we're waiting to see what happens with that if we're getting any indications, and then maybe we're ready to pull the trigger on one of our options. But just go to the Saudi League, Onana. Just go to the Saudi League, man. Like, just get out. I can't stand you. I don't want you at my club anymore. So, what we got here? Gamer TV says Skriniar was him. Damn, I really wish him. Yeah, he was available on a free transfer, but again, you have to pay those bonuses. And again, the player does have an option of where they want to go. So we'll see what happens. But that was one that hurt. We really needed a center back at that time too. I think we had Varane, I think, at that time, but I was still not sold on Varane's fitness because he only played a couple dozen games for us. So Box says a lot of goalkeeper links last week. Yeah. A lot of keeper links, a lot of midfielder links, which we're going to talk about here in a second. But interesting stuff, man. A lot of links. No smoke without fire, as they say. But again, we know how the media works, so it is a bit, but it is what it is. You guys are funny. Speaking of midfielders, what do you make of this claim from Christian Falk that United are exploring a deal for Felix Nemecha of Borussia Dortmund? Now, I know Christian Falk is kind of a Bayern Munich kind of outlet. He's for Bayern news, he's pretty reliable, but I don't know how reliable he is when it comes to other clubs, even other Bundesliga clubs. So maybe you guys can help me out there. I like Nemecha, though. You guys know I've mentioned him a couple times in my list of midfielders. And again, it's the similar profile of midfielders that we've been looking at. 23 to 26 just. He's physical, defensively very solid, very, very good ball progression. That's the pattern that we're looking at. The same with Yashari, the same with Hackney, the same with Ederson, the same with Lamine Camara. A lot of these midfielders, we look at Elliot Anderson, who we spoke about last week. I did that scouting report on. Some of you might be a little too burned by Dortmund players, though, after the Sancho circus. Mkhitaryan, he was all right for us. I feel bad for Kagawa because I just don't think it was the right time for Kagawa with Rooney sticking around. He was always going to be difficult. So some people are just over the Dortmund thing. Chelsea aren't, if they're looking at. Box says Alex Merritt, new deal. Oh, did he? Yeah, we talked about Alex Merritt in my video when he was still not decided on a new deal. Sounds like he did. Bummer. Could have been an improvement for free. So what do you guys think of Nemecha, though? Do you guys watch any Dortmund? Do you like Nemecha? What do you guys said about Zaire Emery? 100% of you do not want Zaire Emery for 85 million. Interesting. I'm going to start another poll. 35 to 40 mil for Carn. I'm going to butcher this guy's last name, but Carnesecchi. Maybe that's how you spell it. You guys let me know. I just had it on the screen, but I just forgot how to spell it. But Bach says Nemec's bro just joined Leeds. Yeah, he does have a brother. His brother is a striker. I want to say striker. He's an attacker, I think. Could be interesting little rivalry. Two brothers going at it in two rival clubs, Leeds United. There's some history there. But I like Nemec a lot. I haven't seen any prices. We spoke about him a little while back. The price would probably be a little substantial. Dortmund were linked with Yashari. They just signed Job Bellingham, so I don't know what that means for Yashari. Let's say, for instance, we did get Nemec, that Dortmund are probably going to go back in for Yashari. So I'd rather go get Yashari personally. But Nemec has probably got that physicality over Yashari. But I like them both. But let me know what you guys think about Nemec. We're going to move on to some youngster news because we've got some youngster news coming out today, you guys. This has to do with Seko Kone. So this is coming from Sully Talks. Ineos-owned FC Lausanne Sport, that Swiss club that Sir Jim owns, have been in contact with United over a potential loan move for Seko Kone. Several European teams also in the race, but Swiss Giants in the lead as of now. So we've talked a little bit about this a couple times. What to do with Seko Kone? Now, I want to see him get minutes personally. He's, I think, 20. He's not like super young. He was playing first team football in Mali when we bought him. He's balling out for the youngsters. He played really well against the Saudi Arabia youth team last week. I like him a lot. Very physical, very energetic, wants to get on the ball, gets around the pitch, gets involved. I like him a lot. Is it too soon for any sort of rotation option? And if you're not able to give him regular minutes, probably better to go on loan, right? Now, my question is Lausanne Sport a little too low of a level? Would you like to see him tested at Nice, maybe another club that Sir Jim and Ineos own? Do you think he's ready for that kind of level, maybe to go in and rotate there? He'll probably get more minutes at Lausanne Sport, but is the challenge going to be there? And that is the hard part. This is what like Johnny Evans' new role is going to be involved in. What's the best option for these players in terms of loans? Where are they going to get minutes? Where are they going to get a challenge, for instance? It's difficult. It's very difficult. There's a subtle art and science to finding these loan moves for players, what's going to be the best. And then you got to look at the manager situation. Sir Jim owns Lausanne Sport, Ineos owns Lausanne Sport. They were quick to pull the trigger on managers here. Are they going to be quick to pull the trigger on managers there? We saw James Garner when he was at Watford getting a ton of minutes. They sacked their manager mid-season. Garner barely got a minute after that. There's a lot of factors that go into this when it comes to loans. I want what's best for Kone, and what's ultimately best for him is going to be best for United as well. So let's see. Bach says Nemec could be an interesting deal. I like Nemec a lot. He screams to me Premier League midfielder, just the way he's built, the way he plays. He looks to me like a player who could make that jump from the Bundesliga to the Premier League. But maybe we some of us thought that was Sancho, so it is what it is. Lucky Sings is, if we did look alternative than Kevin Kleiber, you mean Justin Kleiber? Is that what you're talking about? Johnny Hill, big up, welcome. I think a lot of people are forgetting that Brentford wants $62.5 million, whether installments or not. I don't think they care about add-ons. Yeah, I mean, we know that they wanted supposedly the same price that we paid for Cunha. I think that they were completely neglecting context for that as well. It was a release clause, which is always going to be higher than market value probably. And he had Cunha had just signed a new deal February. And Mbeumo is coming up into the final year of his contract. I think they do have an option for another, but still 2 years tentatively with maybe one compared to what Cunha. There's not the same. It's not a fair comparison. I think Brentford is just tired of not selling. They probably should have gotten more for Tony, but that's not our problem. Atletico probably shouldn't have overpaid for João Felix when they paid $100 million for him to get him from Benfica. They can't just turn around and charge other people the same price because that's what they want. It's not my fault you overpaid. It is what it's like. If we went to Selu Garte or Højlund, we can't ask for $62.5 million for Højlund because it's not our fault. It's not everyone else's fault. We overpaid. It is what it is. So I hear both sides. If we're going to get it done, get it done. Throw on the extra $5 million if that's what it takes. Get it done before July 1st. Count it on this year's books, and let's move on. Dabasi says Kone could be loaned to a championship team. Yeah, I mean, he could be loaned to a championship team. Some of their players have done that. I mean, Ahmad went to Sunderland for a little bit, went to Rangers for a coming. So Ahmad spent a lot of year on loan, people forget. Seko Kone is about the same age as Ahmad was last season, though. So Box wants to see him tested at a higher level. Good shout. What? Bolton, yeah, he says Bolton too low. Bolton, yeah, I think Nice is a little higher level, but again, it's just about will he get minutes. You could say Nice is a high level, but it doesn't matter if it's a high level if you're not going to get the assurances that he's going to play, and that's what's more important. You can't sitting on the bench at a higher level than Lausanne Sport means fuck all at the end of the day. So, we'll see, man. If he does go to Lausanne, though, I'm going to find a way to stream some of those matches. I don't care what I have to do. I'm going to figure out a way to watch some of that because I want to see this kid. We've done a couple of Academy watch-alongs here on the channel. He did not play in the FA Youth Cup match when Justin and I were there in January. We went to that match. Cheeto played, though. So did Scanlon. That was a good match. But I like Kone a lot. I think he's looked really good when he has played. So we'll see what happens. But what are you guys saying here on Carnesecchi? So 100% would spend that. I don't know why that says 35.5. I should say 2.0. I must have hit the 5, not the T. But big up Carnesecchi. You guys like him a lot. Let's see. Odds and ends here. Odds and ends. You guys know we're about wrapping up with the odds and ends. So apparently, United want to remind us that it's been 11 years since we've signed Luke Shaw. If you guys just forget that time flies by when you're injured. The club put out the official tweet early this morning. It's been 11 years of you, Luke Shaw. Do you really want to remind people how long Luke Shaw has been at the club when he's only been fit like half the time? Is that really what you want to do, United? Is that a wise decision to make? I don't know who approved that tweet. I don't know what they thought they were going to do with that tweet. The guy's literally been fit half the time. So maybe they should have said 5 years at the club. I don't know what's going on, but 11 years of Luke Shaw. The guy's getting a testimonial. He's 29, 30 now. The guy joined us when he was 18. That's insane. That's literally insane. Balled out 22-23 season, arguably the best left back at the time. Our player of the year that season as well. Very, very good. And then just the injuries. I don't know what happened that year. What was different that year? Was he just trying to put on a show for Ten Hag? Did he just get lucky with fitness and lack of injuries? I don't know what happened, but I just think it's the same as Ben Chilwell. I don't know what it is with these English players sometimes, man. The wingers, the left backs, I'm just it's always a problem. There's always a fucking problem, man. Box says Shaw always going to be a what if player. Well, maybe a sneak peek for one of the episodes of What If next season. Maybe look at what if, Luke Shaw hadn't broken his leg in that Champions League match against PSV Eindhoven. You guys know we do season 3 of What If will be out probably in a couple months. Season 2 finale of What If dropped last week, so you guys can go get caught up on all those episodes of What If you guys haven't watched those yet. They're very short. There's 8 of them so far. Go check them out. But yeah, he could just be a what if player, Luke Shaw. Let me get Kone off the screen. What's Kone still doing here? So what are you guys saying? Lucky says $4.5 million. Then we look at Kevin Kluivert final bid. Who's Kevin Kluivert, man? Are you talking about Justin Kluivert at Bournemouth? Johnny says the club would rather give us reminders and testimonials for Luke Shaw and Lindelof rather than actual quality players of the past. Yeah, I mean, it's how you know it's a slow news day when there's just random shit going on. We've got people just recycling the same nonsense and stuff, but read the room, right? I'm sure Shaw saw that, and I hope that he saw that and was he was probably cringing, guys, what are you doing? No one, I don't want that. Come on. I don't blame him for being injured. I've moved on from Luke Shaw. I don't count him as part of the squad because he's literally been fit half the time. It's nothing personal. Same with Phil Jones. I don't have anything personal against Phil Jones. Nobody wants to be injured. It's not about the why. It's just about the what. And the what is you're injured and can't be relied upon to be fit. It's just we have to move on. Same with Mason Mount. It was same with Varane, Martial as well. We just can't. Richard says they should do Shaw's England career fit 100% of the time. I'm sure somebody responded to their tweet. Because remember, this is an official tweet from United earlier today celebrating this. So I'm sure they opened themselves up to all sorts of backlash in that regard. I'm sure a lot of it was a little OTT, but it's what you're going to do. Box says a bit like Martial from another young talented player who didn't fulfill it. Man, I like Martial. Oops, sorry, hit my microphone. I like Martial, and he and Rashford were they literally were in sync, but he had bye, right? Speaking of NSYNC, he had to go. He wasn't fit. So what are you going to do there? I saw Leicester sacked Rude this morning. That was a bit harsh, huh? Does that seem fair to you guys that the guy came in when they were already basically relegated and just he couldn't turn around? I mean, he did not get enough time, in my opinion. You have to give managers a chance to turn things around, like to actually get a rebuild. I mean, they got a parachute payment. Vardy left. What are they going to do? They have to sell a player to really start rebuild. But again, realistically, were they destined for any other fate than relegation? Leicester, no budget, older players. I think you could have turned some of those young attackers into ballers too. It's unfortunate. What are you going to do? Johnny says maybe you should go AK Athens. Martial never injured there, it seems. Yeah. The physicality of the league, maybe that has to do with it. I don't know. Anybody revise your picks on Leicester players you take at United, though, now that they're relegated? Anybody? Remember we did that video several months ago where I took a couple players from each of these clubs that looked like they were going to get relegated and whether I would take them at United. And we did talk about a couple at Leicester. I think Ndidi and El Canus were my players at the time. I've cooled a bit on El Canus. I haven't seen enough of him. He reminds me a lot of Bruno. He's a number 10, but he does drop deep a lot to get involved. He does have a good tackle numbers as well, El Canus, but he's still very young. Fatawu, I definitely like Fatawu. Buonanotte, I do like a lot, and I definitely replace Casemiro for Ndidi with Ndidi if possible. I think he's got like a release clause for relegation, like $9 million. That to me seems like a really good deal personally, but Casemiro would have to go first. But Brendan Chappell, I haven't seen you in a minute. Did Brentford reject our second bid from Mbeumo? That's what the news was as we were live. We literally saw that pop up as we were live. That happened. So we'll see what happens with that one. Will we go in for another bid? We set limits on these. We set boundaries. We'll see what happens. I'm not sure where Brentford are getting this valuation from. It's like $62.5 million is incredibly generous in my opinion. He's not worth that. Cunha wasn't really worth that. That was just the release clause. So if Brentford are going to sit here and say, well, what about Cunha over and over again, then they can fuck themselves because we'll say, what about Tony? You guys took $40 million for Tony. Like, what are we doing here? We can go back and forth on this all day. So Bach says Rude did the best he could. To be honest, they were always going to go down. Yeah, it's like the same with Ollie at Cardiff. Like people used to give Ollie shit all the time. He relegated Cardiff. When Ollie came in, it was literally like mid-season. Cardiff were already basically relegated. There's nothing anybody could have done. And we know that Ollie was told by Cardiff ownership on several occasions who to start and who to bench. Like they were controlling a lot of that. So I think, and the same people, the same rival fans who want to criticize, like the Liverpool fans want to, like they forget that Klopp literally got relegated with Mainz as well. So like it's going to happen now and then, but Face, I don't know how I feel about Face. I can't fuck with you on that one, Box. We're going to have to disagree on about Face. Every time I watch him play, he just seems like he's got an absolute mistake in him, man. Johnny says, a very good YouTube. Gave an absolute stinker opinion recently from you, though. He said he'd take Ndidi in 2025. You're funny. You're a funny man. For $9 million, we talked about that. When was that video? That was a while ago. Ndidi is a very good midfielder. But remember when he was balling out for Leicester, like 7 years ago, just a boss of a defensive midfield. And then they got relegated and he became more of a box-to-box, getting more involved higher up the pitch. I think that made him a more well-rounded midfielder. He was, at the time, I'm going to defend myself. At the time I did that video, he would have been available for free. And that's why I said that. I don't want to pay for Ndidi if I don't have to, but $9 million is pretty low. You could probably get something out of it. But at the time, he would have been available for free when I said that. So I will add that caveat. So let's finish on some of these rule changes for Box Foulface own goals. He saw that record that Skirtle had, and he was like, I got this. Hold my beer. I can do this. Let's talk about some of these rule changes. So now it looks like the Premier League TV coverage, this is coming from the Telegraph, they are going to now feature touchline interviews with substituted players next season. I do not see this going over well with players. Oh, man. I mean, it's going to be gold for the viewers, but let's just close your eyes and imagine this. You had an absolute stinker of a match. You're substituted, or you're the first substitute, 55th minute. You're coming off, you're pissed off, you don't shake your manager's hand. And the first thing you get when you go sit on the bench, before you even get your big poopy coat on, before you even slap hands with your teammates, you get a mic and a camera and some freaking sideline reporter in your face asking you what your thoughts and feelings are. What do you think is going to happen? Part of me I just can't wait to see it. I'm going to get popcorn ready for that shit. But other part of me is like, no, I can't even imagine sitting in a press conference as a manager or player. That is the last thing I want to do. You're literally just like asking for players to get fined, basically. You're getting it at some of their worst moments. They're tired, they're angry, they're frustrated, and you're going to basically make them go on camera like, we don't need to do this. We don't need to turn this into some sort of viewing kind of exposit. Like, we don't need to do this. We don't need to make a whole like display out of this. Just keep football the way it is. It was bad enough a few years back when they were trying to get the game shortened to 60 minutes because they said the ball was not in play that much. Like, fuck off, man. It's ridiculous, man. Box says, yeah, imagine interviewing Xerxes after getting subbed. Exactly. Like, why do you want to do this? This is not going to help. This is only going to make things worse. Brendan says it might be because of the U.S. market. I don't give a flying fornication about the U.S. market. I don't care. I'm American. I live in Michigan. You guys know that. I don't care. I don't care. We don't need challenges for like cards. We don't need any of this shit. We don't need instant, like, just stop. Just stop. We don't. This is at its foundations, it reminds me a lot of the Super League. It's rich people wanting to get richer and thinking they know what's best for the game. And this is where these changes come into it. And you don't know. It's like people put all this shit on their grass. Grass has been growing just fine for a million gajillion years. It doesn't need our help. Football has been doing just fine for over a century. It doesn't need our help that much. It really doesn't. It doesn't need VAR, it doesn't mean semi-automated offside. It doesn't need any of this shit. It does not. Like, stop. Just stop. Richard says Garnacho first up. But that's the thing. Brendan says controversy sells. I don't want it to become a spectacle. Like, it's bad enough that journalists just are allowed basically just to say whatever they want with complete impunity. And maybe every now and then you can ban them from your pressers. We should do that more, in my opinion. But like, and it's bad enough that everything is funneled through United. It's 6 degrees of Man United, no matter if we're anywhere near a story or not. And it's like, now we're just going to, like, come on. This is ridiculous. If players are going to get fined for all sorts of shit, they say, like, can you imagine what's going to happen? Like, how about, here's a better idea. You want to interview somebody, interview the referees. I want to know where these decisions come from. Like, stick a camera and a mic in front of the referee after a bullshit. Like, what's his face? Who's the dude who did the Arsenal, the FA Cup match when we beat Arsenal? That was one of the worst refereeing performances I've ever seen. Go stick a camera in front of him after that and say, dude, what the fuck? What were you thinking? Like, come on. Like, what was going on here? I just don't get this at all. This is on top of a couple other changes. We talked about some of these changes a while back. So obviously the halftime interviews, they're going to start doing halftime interviews now. And then dressing room broadcasts, like, seriously, like, we don't have to turn this into a all or nothing or a welcome to Wrexham. Like, we don't need to do this. We really don't. If a club wants to do this, let them do it. We don't need to make it a rule. Like, what's the benefit to this? I want to know what the benefit for this is, personally. Lucky's trying to give us an update. Let me go see what you got going on here, Lucky. I'm going to trust your gut. Make sure you guys are hitting that like button while I go verify this from Lucky here. Let's see what Sully Talks is saying here. So we got that report from Sky. Now Sully Talks is reportedly, Lucky, if you're steering me wrong, I'm going to be annoyed. I don't see anything. So this is basically what Lucky has said in response to somebody else. I'll put it up on the screen for you guys so you guys can see what I'm talking about. I'll let you guys decide how you feel. So obviously we got some of that news earlier. If you guys can't read that, I can make it bright. I have it on dark mode so it doesn't eat my phone battery. But so Sully basically going back on this because he posted earlier the agreement from Brentford and Mbeumo was done. And now he says, we'll never delete or backtrack. They have a full agreement on the base fee and are finalizing the add-ons. Medical and contract signing is planned for next week. Brentford trying to squeeze an extra few million. He will be a United player. We will see who lied and who didn't. Kind of what we were saying. You know, they're just finalizing the extra little odds and ends there to see what they could get out of United. I don't know. What do you guys think on that? I'll put that up. Thank you, Lucky, for filling me in on that. Like, I don't look at Twitter while I'm doing the show, obviously, so it's nice to have people to chime me in. So the Boxy says the U.S. doesn't have that much viewership. The U.S. has a ton of viewership, man. Like, ton. With Peacock and ESPN and all that stuff, ton of viewership. Huge U.S. market. I mean, look at a lot of the owners. Like, there's very few actual English owners in the Premier League. A lot of the owners, like, you've got a ton of American owners right now. Liverpool, I think Palace's owners, American as well. Brendan says, you're not in the U.S. market. The focus is on increasing those who aren't following football currently. Is that going to make people follow football, though? If someone isn't like if I ask my wife who doesn't give a fuck about football, if I'm like, hey, they're going to interview players at halftime or when they get subbed off, is that going to be enough for her to be like, yeah, let's pay for Peacock? I don't think that's going to be the thing that's going to get more people watching in. I think people who already watch football already watch it, and they've been watching it. There's a reason that Peacock and NBC picked up the broadcast rights 10 years ago. It's a U.S. market. There's a reason for that. I mean, that's just what it is. So I don't think that that's going to be the thing that's going to freaking get people over there. But Richard says my grass needs help. I have a stone patio. Yeah, I don't do fertilizer, mostly because I've got 2 dogs, and so I don't want a bunch of shit on my lawn. And it's funny, though, because the people next door to us, either side, they treat their lawn, which is fine. Do what you want. But, like, all the animals are in our yards. We've got squirrels, we've got rabbits, we've got butterflies, hummingbirds. All the shit is in here. We've got birds that other people don't get. So we get, like, orioles coming in. I've seen owls in our trees sometimes at night. And our yard's not bad. Like, it's just not full of shit. So it is what it is. Brennan says, be fair, the U.S. dominates. If U.S. companies see opportunities to reach money, it's going to happen. And that's the thing. That's what I'm asking. Like, what's the point of this? And what is this going to do? And I tell you, the only way this is going to make extra money is if it's sponsored. And so you've already got the progressive this up at the top. And now it's going to be, hey, this is your progressive substitution report. This is your progressive halftime interview or some bullshit. Squeeze. I mean, this is part of it. When I was on the board with Livonia City FC, I volunteered as a board member to be the guy in charge of getting sponsorships. Getting sponsorships at this level in the US is huge. And so, yeah, I added a bunch of shit. Like, let's add a starting 11 sponsor. Let's get a man of the match sponsor. This is your Cottage Inn Pizza man of the match. I don't care. Whatever, every little bit helps. So I get it, but I don't want it near my game either, if that makes sense. Irfane, how you doing, man? Cunha and Mbeumo, Victor Gyökeres, and you're talking my language, man. I like it. Big up, man. Make sure you guys hitting that like button. Subscribe for me, man. It sounds like, we already knew Mbeumo only wants United. We've been haggling for a couple weeks. This is what you get with transfers. Both clubs want the best deal for them financially. That's just part of it. Usually, it literally is only haggling over the difference of a couple million here and there. More up front, add-ons, this and all this and other nonsense. This is how much we want up front. This is how long we want. Like, we want it paid off in 3 years, not spread over 5 years. This is normal. I seem like I don't care. It's because it's normal. Like, we know this is what happens. And so it's nothing that I'm like, what? No, this happens. This is literally how transfers operate. I just wish we would let's just get it done. Brennan says, people honestly don't understand the U.S. influence on the globe. No, I understand it. I just don't like it. I never said it wasn't a thing. I just don't like it. That's my thing. So there's a lot of things I don't like. I understand why the league wants VAR. I don't like it. I understand why there's a seatbelt law. I don't care about the seatbelt law personally. It's probably a bad example. Like, it just is what it is. Like, I don't care if that, like, all this stuff. So it is what it is. Canal Plus. Yeah, if you guys want Fubo, there's a link in the video description. Tabassi says maybe eastern part and southern part, but the rest are mostly NFL. Yeah, NFL is very huge here. I don't really watch any other sports besides football, though, honestly. Like, I've never gotten into basketball. Baseball is super boring. I probably watch golf more than I watch baseball. I did used to watch more football, but then the more I started watching European football, I can't watch other sports because of the commercials. That's another thing. I love that there's no commercials. I could set my day around a football match, but let's see. Lucky says we told Brian Mbeumo embrace United frontline. Yeah, I think it is just a matter of time. I honestly don't think this is going to delay anything. I think it's just like you go back for another round of talks and you just hammer it out. I think that there's nothing there, but that is going to do it for me, everybody. Good show tonight. I'm glad to see everybody getting involved. Please make sure before you dip out, go check all those links in the description. There's a link in there to a charity that my wife is a part of. If you guys feel on your heart to donate, to contribute to that, please take a look at that link and think about that. Any memberships, any super chats, anything you buy from the United vs. Everybody store, there's a link in there as well. You can see below the video player, there's a couple of shirts there on display. All that's going towards that. Again, no pressure, no nothing. If you can't contribute yourself, no worries. Please contribute. Please consider sharing it and maybe someone else you might know. Make sure you're hitting that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, you guys. Go check out the memberships to see how you can get more involved in the channel, like suggestions for scouting reports, what if episodes, questions from a boot. We haven't done a question from a boot in a while. Maybe next time we'll do one of those. Go check that out. And then if you want to become a Legends member, you can jump in on the Kickabout show every Wednesday night. You can jump on virtually, get involved in that show, share your thoughts. So that's the best way to get involved in the channel. Irfan says, is your watch football for free? No, I pay for Peacock and whatnot. So it is what it is. I am from Maurice in Africa. Awesome. Well, big up. Welcome. We got people from all over the place. I love it. But big up, Irfan. Welcome to the channel. Richard says, thanks. Great show. It's your guys' show. I appreciate that. But I just throw out the topics. You guys really drive the conversation. So I'm happy to do it. Happy to be here. Debasi wants Conceição from Portugal. We talked about him the other day. Isn't the kid at Juventus now? Interesting. So, and then Lucky Things remind us from Nathan Salt, it looks like United are pretty more relaxed. Brian and Mbeumo, they know the player desperate for a move. Talks ongoing. Yeah, I'm not that worried, as you can see. I'm not saying that means 100% that it is a done deal. I'm just not that worried. It's nothing we haven't seen before. But I appreciate everybody jumping in tonight. Great show. As always, you guys are all legends. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check all the links. Like I told you, they're all in the video description. Until next time, you guys, enjoy your Friday, and I will see you guys on the next one. Take it easy.